stitching friends, this is future Amy and I'm here with future Gary. We wanted to give you a heads up before you start watching this video that we ran into some, shall we say, technical difficulties with one of the segments of the video. So as you're watching this, there will be a 10 to 15 minute section that looks a little bit different than you're used to. And that was our way of trying to compensate. Subtle. You may not even notice it. But that was our way of trying to compensate for the technical difficulties. So particularly if you're visiting this channel for the first time, it's just going to be a little different for part of the video, and we wanted you to know that. We hope you still enjoy it, and it will go back to normal video after a few minutes, so stick with us. Also, for those of you that watch videos with headphones in, you may want to pop them out during that section just because there's a little bit of background noise that might be uncomfortable for you. So just fair warning, but we hope you enjoy. Hi friends, I'm Amy. I'm the Globetrotting Stitcher. I'm here with Gary, who is also a Globetrotting Stitcher, and we're super excited. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different because we are joining the fun and doing our 2024 WIP parade in addition to our regular update. Once again, it's been several weeks since we filmed our last update. Much like many of you, the Christmas season is very busy for us. I had some travel at the beginning of December, so it's been a little over a month since the last time we filmed. So we are going to go over all of our works in progress. I have some finishes to share with you, some fun stories to share from my trip to London and my stitchy meetup there, and some other life stuff to talk about. So buckle in and get your coffee. Being that it's WIP parade season, I know that many of you who are watching this video may be discovering our channel for the first time. So if that's you, welcome. I hope that you enjoy what we're working on and what we're doing, and that you decide to stick around. And if you are one of our longtime friends and subscribers, welcome back. I hope you enjoy seeing all the projects in one fell swoop today. So with that, just a couple of quick updates. As I mentioned, I did have a stitchy meetup on my most recent trip to London. We'll talk about that toward the end of the video, but just to say that was like a highlight of my year. It was a really fantastic meetup. So more on that to come. We also, as I said, in addition to just having a very lovely, busy Christmas season, we celebrated at the end of November my parents' 50th wedding anniversary. And so my brother and his wife and Gary and I took them out for a very special dinner, and we just really enjoyed celebrating them. And that's a huge milestone that a lot of people don't get the chance to make. And so it was really special to celebrate with them. We're hoping in 2025 to have a bigger, more, extended family and friends celebration, but it was really great to spend their actual anniversary day with them doing something really special. And then, as I said, we had a really great Christmas. We're actually filming this update on December 29th, so waiting for New Year's Eve to come and roll into the new year. As always, Christmas was really, really busy. I made my usual array of cookies. So those of you who have been here for a while have heard me talk over the last couple of years about how I am the family cookie baker at Christmas time. And I make about 10 to 12 different kinds of cookies every year, in addition to candy and other things. And so it's always a really busy couple of days right before Christmas, getting all of that done. And so it's kind of been nice the last couple of days now that Christmas is over and finished to draw breath again. But we really had a great celebration. So with all of that, let's kind of move into kind of some of the more WIP parade types of things. So I'm going to start off by telling you a little bit about my 2024 stats. So I track everything in my cross-stitch life. I use the Notion app like a lot of folks have or are doing. And I've taken the template built by Stitching Nati and built that out with a lot of customizations for myself, a lot of additional databases for other things that I want to track related to my cross stitch. And then I track my daily stitching. So These are the stats that I pulled down from my various databases in Notion this morning. So in 2024, I worked on 19 unique projects. I had 13 new starts and 9 finishes. That's fewer finishes than normal for me. Usually my starts and finishes numbers are are almost identical, and this year I'm lower on finishes for a variety of reasons. I also fully finished 16 projects, so was able to get some things fully finished that were lingering from previous years. And over the next day or two, I've got another 1 to 2 projects that I'm planning to fully finish, so that number will go up a little bit before the end of the year. In total, as of this morning, I had 152,014 total stitches this year, which is higher than last year. And I can't quite believe that that's the number. As Hallie always says in Stitching Big Things with Hallie, because she also tracks her stats, I don't share my numbers to make anybody feel good or bad about their stitching. We're all at different places in life and have different responsibilities. And so for me, it's just really more of an interesting thing to be able to see how many stitches I've done. So yes, 152,014 stitches for the year, and that number will go up a little bit, probably by 1,000 to 2,000 stitches by the time we get to December 31st, because I'll have another roughly 3 days of stitching that I get to put in. So those are my stats for 2024. Gary doesn't track his stats, which is absolutely fine, so we won't share any for him, but you will see his WIPs that he's working on later in the video. So with that, I have a couple of fully finished objects to show you, and as well as a finish, and then we'll dive into all the WIPs. So the first fully finished object is a project that I actually finished the stitching on earlier this year. I think it was in March or April timeframe. This project is called Joyful Song. It's by Samplers Not Forgotten. I stitched it on a piece of 36 count cream and sugar linen by Fiber on a Whim using the called for flosses. And it took me 24 stitching days to complete. And so here is my fully finished and framed Joyful Song. And I am absolutely smitten with this project and how this turned out as a finish. So normally, and if you've been watching my channel for a while and you've seen how I finish things, normally I gravitate toward a white frame or like a darker wood frame. That's just my preference, and it goes well with the aesthetics of our house. But in this case, I saw this frame on pictureframes.com and I was like, this is perfect for this project. So it's this wonderful kind of pale silvery blue, and it just picks up wonderfully on the blues in the project, in the stitch, and I just absolutely love it. So I am super, super excited to have this one fully finished. I know where I'm going to hang it in our house, and so this is going to be, probably I will treat it more as a seasonal design that will go up kind of after the Christmas stuff comes down, and then will come down when I take the Valentine's things down. But boy, do I really love this. I think it just turned out beautifully. So this is Joyful Song by Samplers Not Forgotten.
It's all right. Keep going.
We have an interruption by the dogs. Hopefully you're not hearing too much of that and it doesn't devolve into full-blown barking.
It's going to.
I have another fully finished object to share with you. I no longer have it in my possession, so I just want to mention before I get into this, or before we show it, Sarah, if you have not received your Christmas package yet, you might want to fast forward through this section and look away. One of our good stitchy friends, Sarah, we always exchange stitchy goodness with one another when we get close to the holidays. And I'll be sharing her stitchy kindness later on in this video, but I wanted to show you the fully finished object that I sent to her for Christmas. So that project is from the Vintage Garden Smalls chart by Erica Michaels, and I stitched the needle book from that chart for her. I stitched it on a piece of 32 count Oaken Belfast linen by Picture This Plus, mostly using called for flosses. I think I might have switched out one or two things. So I've only actually shown this project on the channel one time, and that was way back in August when it was a brand new start. And I haven't chosen to show it since then because it is a gift, and so I didn't want to like give it away what I was working on. It was secret stitching. I actually finished the actual stitching on the project several months ago, and then fully finished it a few weeks ago and got it sent off before Christmas. So this project was an adventure for me because while the stitching itself was pretty basic, the design calls for some pulled thread work. And I had not, it's been on my my bucket list to learn how to do some pulled thread work for a long time, but this was the first time that I actually had a project that called for it. And so I had to learn how to do hem stitching. And then this was also the first time I've made a needle book. So you're seeing the pictures right now, or you've been seeing the pictures of what the needle book looked like front and back, and then also on the inside. So my hem stitching took a little bit of figuring out. I actually had to pull the first length of hem stitching out, which you won't see because it was pretty heinous looking. It was pretty horrible. And I'd say there's still plenty of room for improvement. Those of you who have done some hem stitching will see that it's not the best you've ever seen. But I learned a lot. I enjoyed it. It's a technique I definitely would like to do again in the future. And then also with my needle book, it wasn't my best finishing ever, but it is what it is. We learn by doing, and so that is my finished needle book from the Vintage Garden Smalls booklet, and I really enjoyed working on that, and I really hope that Sarah enjoys that with her Christmas package. Okay. That's it for fully finished objects. I also have one finish to share with you, and this is a project by Une Croix le Thème d'un Thé. It is chart 2016. This designer does not give names to her charts or to her designs. She just has them numbered. I've been calling it Joyeux Noel, and when you see it, it'll be obvious why. But I call it Joyeux Noel. And I have stitched this on a piece of 36 count natural Edinburgh linen by Zweigert using the called for DMC. So the last time I showed this on the channel was, I think actually in our last update. And I was getting very close to a finish at that time. I had almost completed the stitching on the pine cone toward the bottom of the design. And I had started working on the trees that are in sort of this snowy landscape in the chart. So here is the here's the finished project. Apologies, I've not had time to wash or iron it, so it needs a little bit of TLC before it's ready for framing, but this is my completed Joyeux Noel. This took me 13 stitching days, and what I will say is that I think if I had stitched this a little bit more like my usual stitching, it wouldn't have taken that many days. I probably could have done this in 9 or 10 stitching days, but this was a project that fell victim to, it just didn't get as much time because a lot of times it was kind of cycling in as I was going on travel or coming back from travel. And if you're a regular on this channel, you know I've traveled a lot for work this last fall, and so a lot of times this one was kind of just getting fewer days during my normal rotation, as well as fewer hours by virtue of the fact that I was very badly jet lagged. So at any rate, I am delighted with how it turned out. I have said on previous videos this project feels like a celebration of brown, but I really love it. It's very simple. It's very elegant to me. It's definitely got that French design feel to it, and I'm looking forward to getting this framed and ready to put on the wall when Christmas rolls around again next year.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
The fabric on the top there where the clips are clips. I guess it's R because there's two clips. Anyway, So what is that? Is that part of the design, or what's that there for? Just for people who might not know.
Yeah. So because I used a remnant I had used this fabric on a different project and still had a big enough remnant to stitch a project on, but it was a little too close to the top in my Q snap for me to be able to pull it taut. And so I just grabbed, this was just a remnant from actually a project bag that I made for Gary last year. And so I just stitched it up along the top to give me a little bit more space to play with to tighten things up in the Q snap. And it's a nice sturdy cotton. I actually bought it in Kenya. And so it'll actually work nicely for when I stretch this for framing as well. But I have a couple other projects that you'll see today. Actually, I think just one project that you'll see today where I've sewn something similar around the perimeter to give myself space to tighten it up in the Q snap. So, yep, that's that. All right, that is it for finishes. So we are now going to get into the WIPs. So the first WIP that I will show you is my main full coverage piece. This is Rose Trellis In by Heaven and Earth Designs. The artist is Randall Spangler, and I am stitching it on a piece of 28 count white Lugana 2/1 using a combination of half stitch and continental stitch. So basically I just switch back and forth between the two stitches, one row by row, to help deal with some of the skewing that I've had, which needs a little more help still. I'm gonna have to block this when it is finished. So a few stats on this. So first of all, I want to show you a photo of where I was at the end of 2023, beginning of 2024 on this project. I think when you've got a project that's carried over one year to the next, it's nice to kind of see where were you at the beginning of the year and how much you've accomplished. So in 2024, I have put in 27,218 stitches on this project over the course of 67 stitching days. I am currently at 182,936 stitches, and that's 82.6% complete. So the last time those of you who are normal viewers saw this on my channel, I was working in the front porch area. I had finished stitching. There's a gentleman in the middle of the front porch who's having tea with his lady friend. And so I had finished stitching him, finished stitching the stairs up to the front door, and was working in the Rose Trellis In sign. So here's where I am as we're wrapping up 2024. So first of all, you'll see I made good progress from the beginning of 2023. I've got a little bit more done. You're now starting to see the rose in the Rose Trellis In sign showing up much more clearly. And this is a slow going section. It's probably one of the last, this chunk here is one of the last really big, heavy confetti sections. But this is a project that I am now less than 40,000 stitches from the finish. I would love to think, I really want to get this finished by the end of 2025, but I might have to dedicate extra stitching time to accomplish that, just because if I only got 27,000 stitches in 2024, that's going to fall short of what I need to finish this off. So we'll have to see if I'm able to put some extra time toward this next year, but this is where it's sitting right now. And I'm really excited to be kind of staring down the end of the line at it. It's been a great project for the last several years. So that's Rose Trellis In. Okay, so the next WIP I'm going to show you is kind of something. Actually, what I should do is backtrack just really quickly to say that for those of you who are visiting for the first time and just finding us, I'm a rotation stitcher, and so I have different categories in my rotation. So I call this project a project that's part of my sampler rotation. It's not really a sampler, as you'll see, but that's how I categorize it. And so you'll hear me refer to it that way as my sampler, even though it's not a sampler. So this project is called Die Farben Venedig, or The Colors of Venice. It's by Historische Stickmuster, and I am stitching it on a piece of 36 count cream and sugar linen by Fiber on a Whim using the called for Swadd Alger silks. So I started this project at the end of 2023, and so we'll put up a photo of where I was at the end of 2023. As you can see, it was really a brand new start at that point. I had very little done. Over the course of 2024, I have put in 26,001 stitches over the course of 65 stitching days. I am now at 27,081 stitches, which is 89% complete. So the last time I showed this project on this channel was, I think, in our last update. And I hadn't made very much progress from the previous video because this project was one I took with us. We went to Kenya for a couple of weeks in November, and I did very little stitching on it. So I had just worked a little bit in the dark blue rectangle that's in the bottom row on the far right side of the project. So I have been working on this the last week or so, and here's where I am right now. So have made better progress this time around. So as you can see, I've now finished this dark blue rectangle, and I'm working in the middle rectangle in the bottom row. And I'm getting ready to start putting some stitches in probably today on the final rectangle in this project. I had really hoped that I would be able to finish it in 2024, but I'm just not going to have enough time to do that. And so this will carry over, but it will be a finish in January. It should be a finish in January of 2025. This has been an absolute delight to stitch. It is so, so beautiful. I have really enjoyed it. I have a number of other charts by this designer, and I'm planning to stitch those in future because they're just really beautiful, and I absolutely, absolutely love this. So I will say I discovered a pretty significant error, and I've been thinking about how to fudge it. So when I was counting in about 2 days ago to start working on these kind of this gold floral spray that goes across here, things were off somewhere, and I was like, what's going on? And it didn't take me too long to figure out that this entire blue rectangle, which these are between 2,500 and 3,000 stitches, this entire blue rectangle is up 1 row higher than it should be. And looking at it from a distance and even close up, it's really not noticeable, which is why I have only just discovered it after I'd finished all the stitching. I am not pulling that out. So I am trying to decide whether to add rows to each of the rectangles on the bottom row so they all are even all the way across.
You know, if you hadn't said anything.
I know.
Because now I see it and I'm kind of giggling inside.
No. Yeah, I gotta decide how and if.
Giggle.
Inside giggle. I've got to decide how and if I'm going to fudge it on this one, but
Leave it.
I think I should just leave it. Yeah, I'm definitely not doing any ripping out. It's just, do I put in extra stitches? But anyway, I'm looking forward to having this done. I have another project teed up and ready to go. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing this one, getting it framed and on the wall because I think it's absolutely beautiful. So that is Die Farben Venedig. All right. The next WIP for me, and then we will hear from Gary on his projects. Next WIP that I'm going to show you of mine is my weekend project. I am stitching Butterfly Port Mauve by Heaven and Earth Designs. I'm stitching this project on a piece of 28 count white easy grid Lugana. Again, 2/1 using the combination of half stitch and continental stitch. That's how I stitch all my full coverage projects. Okay, so on this project, I started this, I think, in 2022. So we'll put up a photo of where I was at the end of 2023 on this project. And over the course of 2024, I have put in 12,678 stitches over the course of 60 stitching days. I'm currently at 34,211 stitches, which is 12.3% complete. And I'm pleased because I met and exceeded my minimum stitching goal for the year. So on this project, my goal is to get 12,000 stitches per year. And I've gone over that by just a little bit. So the last time we showed this, I'm in an area where I'm working a bit. There was a little peach flower that was starting to kind of show up. And I was starting to kind of stitch in around the perimeter of that. But a lot of what I was working on was background stitching. So here's where I am as we close out 2024. And again, I apologize. A lot of these projects, I've not had time to iron them, so some of them are a bit rumpled. So here's all of the stitching that's been done so far. So as you can see, I've filled in quite a bit of this peach flower down here. There's still a little bit to go, but it's coming along nicely. And then I have filled in quite a bit of background moving down. So I think it's looking good. This project is proof that you can stitch a little bit at a time, and the progress really adds up if you just stay with it. I aim to stitch about 250 stitches every weekend. Obviously, when I'm traveling for work, that those stitches don't get put in, and so I try and go a little bit over to help compensate. But yeah, this project over time is definitely kind of picking up, and it's nice to have been working in a lot of these more colorful and focal elements than not just background. So that is Butterfly Port Mauve. All right, let's take a break from my stitching and hear from Gary about the projects that he has been working on.
Well, since it's a WIP parade, I don't really know how many I've been working on in 2024. So I think there was 3, but I'll just start with one of the ones that I had to stop and restart in 2024, and that's Louis Armstrong. I always do this. Anyway, so what we don't have the money for a teleprompter, so that's where we are. So you're gonna have to deal with this barbaric methodology that we've got going. Anyway, so Louis Armstrong, stitching by Jules Design. It's stitched on 16 count white Ada, and it's DNC black 310 is the color that I'm using on it. The last time that you saw this, I think that I was, I don't know where I was, because we had to frog some and put some and then frog some, and then put some. But I finished page 1, so this is where we are now. So wherever I was last time, this is where we are now. And that's where I am. I'm on page 1. I think I'm going to do page 6, which is below that, and then work that way, which is the way I started, the way I did the other one. And it just kind of, you get a real feel for what's happening as you do that, rather than just doing the top row. You get half a hand, half a head. Not going to do that. Anyway, so that's where Louis Armstrong is.
I think the last time we showed this, you said it looked like some kind of a wrench.
Crescent wrench.
Crescent wrench.
Now it looks like the bell on a horn, the top part of the bell on a horn, which is nice.
Yeah.
Because that's what it looks like.
That's what it's supposed to look like.
Or a walk on its side, right? Anyway, let's not get into the Rorschach part of it. Anyway, so that's where we are now. But one quick thing on that is that there are a total of 17,272 stitches in the entire project. I have done 1,729, which is roughly 10% of the total. Anyway, so that's there's some stats that I don't keep because I don't keep them. I mean that I don't keep them. So that's where we are. That's where Louis Armstrong is. Next one that I have been for surely working on in 2024 is Wonder Woman. And that's by Cross Stitch Bay, and that's an Etsy shop. That's stitched on 16 count pewter Ada with the called for DMC. Why do I keep saying that? Except for one, her hair, like the highlights in her hair, are a darker blue than what's called for. And then where it says Wonder Woman, it'll be a darker blue, and her pants basically, that's a darker blue than what's called for. But it's either way. So the last time you saw this, I think I was trying to fill in the rest of the skin for her, and her I think her up here and then her legs. Might have just been her legs, but either way, it took a long time to fill the legs in, longer than I thought. But anyway, so I filled in the legs and did the outline for, I believe, the right boot, and what that means is that there are a total of 8,246 stitches in the project, and I have done 4,930 of them have been completed. So I'm roughly 60% of the way done with Wonder Woman. So anyway, I don't know if I said this. Did I say this is the way it looks now?
No, I don't think you did.
Anyway, this is the way it looks now. I don't know why I never say that. I need a teleprompter. So that's where they are. Now the one that I'm thinking about that I might have done in 2024 was Women Who Behave, because what happened is I was working on Louis Armstrong, and then we realized that it wouldn't fit on the fabric, but I had another sub-project going on. So Louis Armstrong was the big project, and I had another smaller project. And I believe that was Women Who Behave was the last one. It was also at least finished in 2024. I don't know any stats on it or anything like that, but there aren't that many. There's a picture of it up right now, so you'll be able to see there's not a whole lot of stitches to that one. But outside of that, that's what I've done in cross-stitching for 2024. 2025 is a who knows. Will I finish Louis Armstrong? Yeah, I don't know. Will I finish the other one, Wonder Woman? Probably. And there's a Deadpool one that I want to do. But we'll talk about that one later. And just lastly, as for what action figures we're talking about, the figures that are over there are actually from they're Christmas figures. Two of them are one of them is from McFarlane, that's the red Batman Santa. And then the two on the edges, those are from Star Wars The Black Series. They're just different characters put in holiday colors. So that's like the Wookiee is like a Sasquatch or something, but he's got holiday colors. And then the other one next to the Wookiee, that's Barbarian Santa. That's the Naughty or Nice, I think, mine. You can still get them at Big Bad Toy Store, I think it is. Just look up Naughty or Nice and Santa. They get some really cool Santas. Anyway, that's the Barbarian Santa. He has tattoos of snowflakes on his belly. Anyway, so those are the action figures. And I believe my time is over now.
Your time is never really over. You're always welcome here. All right, so the next WIP that I'm going to show you is my Fancy Lady stitch. I am stitching Rose of Sharon by Mirabilia. Most of you, if not all of you, probably know this already, but it is an out-of-print chart. I am stitching this project on a piece of 32 count Meadowview Lugana by Fabric Flair, using all the called for DMC floss. This was another project that I started at the end of 2023. And it's a little bit unusual in the fact that usually, most of the time, so I stitch about one Fancy Lady per year on average. And generally a Fancy Lady takes me 1 full year to stitch. Sometimes I go a little bit over, but usually it's right around that 12 months that it takes me to stitch. And this project has just been the redheaded stepchild of my projects this year. And some of that's had to do with where it falls in the rotation and how that tends to line up with my work travel. And so it's just, you'll note that the numbers on this, even though that it's been a full year of stitching on it, they're lower than the numbers I was telling you from my earlier projects. So those numbers, oh, and if we haven't already, we'll put up a picture of where it was at the end of 2023. As I said, it was pretty much a brand new start at that point. So in 2024, I have put in 12,678 stitches on this project over the course of 60 stitching days. So as you can see, fewer stitching days and a lot fewer stitches. I'm currently at 34,211 stitches, which is, no, excuse me, I'm looking at the wrong one. Wow, I really misquoted here. Scratch most of what I just said. I have put in 17,505 stitches over the course of 65 stitching days. Goodness gracious, sorry guys. And I'm currently at 18,515 stitches, which is around 65%. So the reason I can tell you the stats on this project is because I scanned my chart uploaded it into Markup RXP, and so I'm able to mark off and know roughly what my stitch counts and percentages are on this. Okay, so the last time we showed you this project, I was continuing to work my way down the greenery in the left side of the pillar arch that is around the woman. And I had been working in the hollyhocks that were on the right-hand side of her, started a few stitches in the hollyhocks on the left-hand side, and was working in the train of her skirt. So here's where she is at the end of 2024. As you can see, I have carried down this greenery more. I think I'm now actually done with this chunk of greenery and will be focusing more on the left side of the arch. I've stitched in more of this decorative element here on the left arch. I'm now completely finished with the hollyhocks to the right side of her skirt and have made some good headway in the hollyhocks on the left. I've also made good progress starting to carry her skirt down to the bottom on the front, or the left side of the skirt, and then more of her train on the right. I'm almost down to the bottom of the skirt here, where it tops out or bottoms out there at the bottom there. How many times can I say bottom? Anyway, this is a project I really love. I really want to push to get some good progress because I'd love to see this finished before the middle of 2025 so I can move on to my next fancy lady. But that is where I am on Rose of Sharon. All right, the next WIP I'm going to show you is from the wild card portion of my rotation, awkwardly phrased. So this project is called Cabin Fever. It is a Dimensions Gold Collection kit, and I'm using the kit fabric and floss. So at the end of 2023, you'll see the picture of where it was this time last year. So over the course of 2024, I have put in 27,264 stitches over 67 stitching days. I'm currently at 40,971 stitches completed, which is about 68.8%. So the last time we showed this project on our channel, I had stitched in a chunk of the trees that are up above or in the background of the cabin, but they're kind of above the roof of the cabin, and had started stitching in more of like the cabin roof line and kind of part of the side of the cabin. Ooh, sorry, we've got a mini avalanche that I'm trying to avert. Okay, here we go. Now we're good. So here's where this is right now. So as you can see, all of my stitching time, I did take this with me when I went to London a few weeks ago at the beginning of December, and it was working in a hoop, so all of my stitching is concentrated in one section. So I finished all of the tree background here above the roof of the cabin and then began working my way down. So you can see now this tree along the far right is stitched, reasonably far down now. I finished filling in what was left to fill in of the roof and then started filling in more of this side of the cabin, as well as some of the stitching that goes in through here on the cabin. The other thing that I was really happy to get done was I was able to do at least one length of back stitch in the cabin with some of the black here. So that's starting to make that roof line and the window of that cabin in particular, this kind of little area here, is starting to really pop now that some of that back stitch is in. So this one is coming along. This is another project when I'm thinking about 2025 that I'm really keen to finish. I'd like to have this done by July of 2025 because that would be when its second WIP birthday is. And so I would really like to have it finished by its second birthday and then move on to the next project in this category. But this one has been a lot of fun to stitch. It's the first time I've done one of the bigger Dimensions Gold Collection kits in many, many years. I did a smaller Dimensions kit probably 4 or 5 years ago. But this one has been a fun adventure, and I will definitely be doing more Dimensions projects in future. So that is Cabin Fever. Okay, we've got a few more WIPs, but we're now past all of the WIPs that I started, or excuse me, that I carried over from 2023. So everything you see at this point will be a WIP that I started this year. So the first one is a Luca S kit, and this is called Autumn Creek Mill. I started this project in October, and I am using the kit fabric and floss. So I'm currently sitting at 17,000, wouldn't that be nice? 1,729 stitches, which is about 2.1% complete. And here is where it is at the end of 2024. So as you can see, less than 2,000 stitches, still, in the fairly new start stage. This is going to be a pretty large project. This is a new category that I introduced in my rotation a few months ago, which I'm calling my monthly morning stitch. And basically what it will be is 6 projects. And if I have extra time in the morning before I start my work day, I'll put in a few stitches in them for 2 months out of the year. And so this one has had roughly a month of progress. It didn't get a full month of progress because I did travel in October and didn't take it with me. But that's just the way these projects will go, is they'll get what spare time I can give them, and they will move along slowly over the years until they get a spot in the main part of my rotation. Anyway, Autumn Creek Mill, really pretty. As you can see, I've got sort of this sunset sky coming in and the first of the hot air balloons. So I'm looking forward to this coming out again in 2025 for a couple of months, and we'll see where we are this time next year and how much I'm able to get done on it. Okay, and then the next WIP in my rotation, also a new start. So this project was my monthly morning stitch that I started in November. This is also a Luca S kit. This is called Not Forgotten, and I am using the kit fabric and floss. And this one got even less progress, less love than Autumn Creek Mill, because, as I mentioned, we traveled the first 2 weeks of November, and this did not go with us. So this is currently sitting at 844 stitches complete, which is about 1.1%. And this is where I got to on Not Forgotten. Would really have loved to get this one to 1,000 stitches, but it was just not meant to be. So as you can see, we've just got a bit of skyline with some trees and background showing up. This is a project that I first saw this kit. Kyle Reckemeyer shared it on his channel a couple of years ago, and I was immediately smitten by it. And so I've had it in my stash for a while after seeing it on his channel, and looking forward again to getting back to this in 2025. But this is my minimal start on Not Forgotten. All right, so I have 3 new starts to show you. I have gone wild and started 3 new projects since the last time we filmed an update. One of those is a monthly morning stitch, and then well, we'll get into each one of those as we go. So the first one I'll show you as far as new starts is that new monthly morning stitch. This is my project that I started at the beginning of December. This is called Lady at the Window. The chart is, it was charted by Stitches So Beautiful on Etsy, and the artist who created the art is Mariska Art. I am stitching it on a piece of 28 count white easy grid Lugana, and I will just tell you right up front, this chart is unfortunately no longer available on the Stitches So Beautiful site. I don't know where else you might be able to get it, which is unfortunate because it's so pretty. And but yes, unfortunately, at least on that designer's website or Etsy site, this chart is no longer available. So here's where I am as we're closing in, on the end of December. I've got 1,543 stitches complete, which is right about 1%. And of those stitches, you can see I'm carrying down sort of this kind of window frame. Words. They're not hard. They are hard and they shouldn't be. So I've got this window frame here and then carried down some of these sort of ninja stitches that go down deeper into the project. I've also started stitching in the window here, which is a lot of white and cream and pale blue floss. And so you may not be able to see that as clearly, but there are, as I said, a little over 1,500 stitches put into this piece. It will get a couple more days because, as I said, this is December 29th. So I plan to work on it at least another 2 days. So it might get another couple hundred stitches in it before we close out the year. But not enough progress to come back and show you until this comes out again for another month in rotation. But that's where it is. I fell in love with this chart as soon as I saw it. I thought it was absolutely beautiful. And so I'm really happy to be working on it, even if it's going to be a slow goer. So yeah, that is my start on Lady at the Window. Okay. Next up, I have a new start in the seasonal category of my rotation. So I showed you earlier my finish of Joyeux Noel. And so after I finished that, I pulled out another project that I have been waiting to start that I've had kitted up for a long time. And that is Gather Here by Hello from Liz Matthews. I love this. I love the rustic simplicity of it, the really clean lines. I love that it's a monochromatic. And so I'm really excited to have a start on this. So I am stitching mine on a piece of 32 count pecan Wexford linen by Silk Weaver. I am using an NPI floss number 568, which is in the iris blue range. And I am currently at 1,352 stitches, which is about 24.5% complete. And so here is what I have accomplished on this one so far. So not bad for a new start, eh? I'm pretty pleased with what I was able to get done with this in the time I had on it. It was really relaxing to work on, as monochromatic stitches often are. But one of the things that I think I found really satisfying about this was, I didn't get this from the sample photo or the sample photo of it, but this bird really has it's got an old medieval woodcut. It's really giving that vibe, and I don't know what it is about that, but I really kind of love that that's what it looks like, is this old medieval woodcut of a bird. I think as you get sort of the leaves and berries and the words in around it, it might lose a little bit of that, which is perhaps why it doesn't look quite that way in the sample photo. But having just the majority of the bird in, definitely it's really given that vibe off. So I'm looking forward to working on this more. I think it's going to stitch up pretty quickly, and it'll be done fairly quickly, but it has been a lot of fun so far. And yeah, that is my start on Gather Here. Okay, and I have one project left to show you in the WIP parade before we move on to some other things, and that is a new start in my travel category. So I started this project while I was flying back and forth to London at the beginning of December. This has been another project that I've had kitted up in my stash for quite some time. And this is Seasons Winter by Leela's Studio. I've completed the other 3 charts in this series for summer, autumn, and spring, and so I'm glad to finally be having a start on the winter project. I am stitching mine on a piece of 32 count avocado linen by XJU Designs. I'm mostly using the called for flosses, but I am doing a conversion of the birds. I'm going to make them into cardinals. So let's see, I've currently stitched 812 stitches. And so here's my pretty decent start on this. So as I said, I am going to turn these birds into cardinals. There's another bird that will be stitched in over here. This bird, I need a little bit more work on it. I was taking a look at photos of cardinals just to kind of, you know what a cardinal looks like, but when you're actually getting in there and stitching, sometimes you need that visual refresher. So I need to get the cock, I guess, or what is it called? The top of the bird's head where the feathers go up. Is that? Never mind.
Crown,
whatever it's called. Crown, whatever. I don't know.
top of bird head.
The top of the bird's head. I need to get like that little spiky feather thing going on up there. Cardinals also have like a black patch around their eye, and so I may need to unstitch some of this around the eye to kind of put that more black emphasis there, and need to do a little bit of an adjustment. This wing doesn't look quite right. So some corrections will be made on this bird to give it more cardinal vibes, but you know, it's been started. And then as you can see, I've got some berries and greenery and acorny things, and so a good solid start on this, and I'm looking forward to working on it again. I really like this project. Becca from Sambry Stitches lives pretty close to me, and she stitched this one several years ago, and I actually got the idea to convert the birds to cardinals from her because she did that with hers. So that is where I am on this one. Okay, so that is where we are as far as that is all of the WIPs in the house. More than we usually have, but certainly not as many as some channels. So, but that's what we have to offer as far as WIPs. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about my most recent trip to London and my stitchy meetup there. So I was in London for some work meetings and wanted to take advantage of that fact to meet up with some UK stitchers while I had the opportunity. So I'm going to talk about that piece in a minute, but just to say, before I met up with them, I did have a little bit of free time in London. And so just wanted to tell you a couple of the fun things that I got to do while I was there. One of those was my hotel was over near the Westminster area, or was in the Westminster area. And so because I had a little bit of free time, I decided to take a good long walk. So I walked from my hotel over to Covent Garden. Covent Garden is one of the areas that has a Christmas market, and I've always wanted to go to a Christmas market in London. And so walked over to Covent Garden, and of course it was beautiful. It was a lot more crowded than I expected. I didn't go on a weekend. I went on a weekday, and so I was like, oh, I'll beat the crowds. No, I did not. It was very crowded. But it was really fun because at the Christmas market, I was able to pick up a couple of Christmas presents to bring home for a few folks on my list. And so that was really fun, and really enjoyed that. I also took a little bit of a side track to visit and walk by the old Great Scotland Yard, where the building where Scotland Yard used to be housed before New Scotland Yard was built, in the last couple of decades. And the old Scotland Yard building has been turned into, in the last couple of years, a big fancy hotel now. So I didn't want to go inside or anything like that. But I took a few pictures from the street. I am a big fan of British murder mysteries, and there's a couple of different book series that I really enjoy. And so one of them, there's a Scotland Yard inspector who I just adore. And so it was fun for me to kind of go be in person and see the place that I keep reading about, because I'd never been there. So that was really fun for me. So anyway, after I finished all of that, finished up my meetings, I met up with a couple of stitchy friends near London. So it was a small meetup. We had a couple folks who couldn't make it due to illness and some conflicts that came up. There was also, unfortunately, horrible weather that weekend. We weren't sure. I mean, it felt like the most ill-fated meetup of all time, because Lynn, who is the Lancashire stitcher, who I've had the wonderful pleasure of meeting a couple of years ago, she was coming down from Lancashire, and it was like her train got canceled. And this is, mind you, by the way, after like a couple of people had already had to like back out, as I said, for illness and other reasons. Lynn's train got canceled, and so I was like, oh my goodness, is she not going to be able to make it? She managed to make it. And then Morty and Brom, who are over in Cornwall, there was like this big, what was a hurricane or major storm that was coming through, and like the news was all stay home, everybody, it's like risk of life and limb and property, so don't go anywhere. And so bless Morty and Brom, they were like, they made it a last minute call, but they actually made it over. They drove through some horrible weather to join us. And it was an absolute pleasure to meet with them. which is that was called the Ostrich Inn. It's like the third oldest coaching inn in all of England. And it was quite the place. So the foundations of the Ostrich were built in 1106, and the current building has been there since around the Tudor period. So it is a very old building. And it's actually, you can see right across the street from the inn, the old stone milestone or road stone that showed 17 miles to London and like, here's how far to Maidenhead and some other place. And you could see how the wind and the weather has already worn that stone a bit, but it was really cool. It was in this great little neighborhood area kind of called Colnbrook. There was a little old like Baptist chapel, I think, tucked in across the street that I took a photo of. But the inn itself was just so charming and so full of amazing age. So it's been the scene of the hotel history section says 60 murders were completed, or not completed, were done there for conducted. What's the word I'm looking for?
Can we get a power up after so many?
60 murders were
Committed?
Committed. Thank you. My gosh, all I could think was like performed. I'm like, it's not an accomplishment. The site of at least 60
What
murders.
kind of music did they use?
Yeah,
That
Anyway,
seems a little
we're done now.
garish.
Yes. So, and then there have been a number of famous people who have stayed there. So Dick Turpin, who is a famous British highwayman. And then they say that King John actually stayed at the Ostrich when he was on his way to sign the Magna Carta. And,
What's a highwayman?
a robber,
Okay.
like a hold 'em up kind of guy.
Stick 'em up guy.
Stick 'em up.
Okay.
Yes. So yeah, King John en route to sign the Magna Carta. I can't comprehend things like being there that long and having that much history, because we just, the U.S., we're, at least from a colonial perspective, we're a relatively new country. If you don't account for the, hundreds of years or thousands of years of Native history that occurred here. But as far as recorded history in the U.S., we just don't have.
European recorded it.
Yes.
I should not have said that.
You should not, but it's okay. We're moving on. Anyway, amazing, like what all has happened there. And the building is so old that it actually sits a little bit below the level of the current street level. The rooms, so we all stayed at the inn, and you have these old rooms that have sloping floors, and it's very charming and very rustic in that super old building kind of way, like steep stairs, uneven stairs, and a fantastic pub downstairs and a dining area. So we've been running some pictures as I've been talking of, just the inn itself and the four of us kind of sitting around and stitching and having a great time together. But it was really something. And I can't remember if I said this or not already, but Morty and Brom and Lynn also shared a bunch of photos and some video from our time together. So if you don't watch them, please go have a look. I will link their channels below. But it's a great way to see more of what the inn is like in addition to what I've shown here. But I just cannot say enough about how delightful it was. That was really like one of the highlights of the year for me, was getting to sit and stitch with friends from England. So Lynn and I have met and stitched together before on a previous visit when I was in the UK. And so it was really great to reconnect with her and just chat and catch up. And then to meet Morty and Brom for the first time. And, I told Gary when I got home, I was like, these are our people. Like, they were delightful. And we just, we stayed up late and we talked about everything under the sun, just, politics and theater and culture and, life in general and stitching. And it was just absolutely delightful. I look forward to the opportunity to spend time with all of them again, because it was really, really a fantastic meetup for me. And then Morty and Brom, spoiled me with some special treats from Cornwall. which is, as I said, where they live. So they did bring some edible gifts, which have been fully consumed. So they brought some Cornish fairings, which they're biscuits to them. To us in the US, we'd call them a cookie, but it's like a gingery kind of biscuit. Those were demolished very quickly. We really liked those. They also brought some some chocolate coins and some mince pies, which are a really popular holiday specialty. So yeah, those are all long gone. But we really, really enjoyed those. And then they also brought me some really fun local like celebration of Cornwall kind of little dish towels here. So we've got like this famous things about Cornwall. So you've got this this castle that I can't remember the name of up here. You've got a Cornish pasty shop. You've got the beach, because Cornwall is known for its beaches. So this is super fun. And then they also brought this really fun dish towel that has famous Cornish sayings, which I won't try to read all of these, but it's great because you've got the saying and then what it actually means in Cornwall. So love it. Yeah, just super fun and super sweet. They also brought me this really sweet little Cornish piskie, or I don't know, is it piskie or pisky? I think it's piskie. Anyway, piskies are sly, mischievous creatures, and so this is supposed to protect you from the piskie if you run into these mischievous creatures. And then a really sweet, beautiful needle minder with a celebration of famous British desserts. So we've got some Victoria sandwich or Victoria sponge here. There is a slice of Battenberg cake, and then there's a jam biscuit. So anyway, so sweet and so thoughtful, and I cannot say enough about what a fantastic time I had with Morty, Brom, and Lynn. It was really a wonderful visit. So then we also have a little bit of stitchy goodness to share with you, and then we will wrap up this video and talk about what we're going to be working on over the next couple of weeks. So as I mentioned previously, our friend Sarah, she's a longtime friend of ours and a friend of this channel, and every year we do a holiday gift exchange with her. And so we wanted to show you what Sarah sent us because we absolutely loved it, as we always do. So I guess I'll start and then I'll let Gary talk about the gifts that Sarah sent for him. But for me, Sarah sent this absolutely beautiful project bag. I just love this fabric. It is so, so pretty. And I am so excited that I'm going to be able to actually put it to use now that I've shown it on the channel. And that came with this fantastic little notions pouch. So Sarah has definitely improved my project bag stash by giving me a number of project bags over the years, and I love every single one of them, and they are all in regular use because they're beautiful. So she sent that, this fantastic little ceramic plate from the Dunedin area of New Zealand, and it's got this bird on it, and I don't know what kind of bird it is, but I think it's just beautiful. Really love that. She sent me this really pretty paisley finishing fabric that I think will be fantastic on the back of a pillow. And so looking forward to using that. Let's see. She sent me some gorgeous pink and purple silks from Silks for You, which also looking forward to using these in a project. The colors are so pretty. And let's see. She sent me a really pretty candle, a lovely note, a gorgeous wooden needle case. This is absolutely fantastic and I love it. And I'm hoping that on my next trip, it will keep my needles safe from Rwandan security people. More on that in a moment. But perhaps the creme de la creme is this beautiful, beautiful hand stitch pocket that she made. And this is just priceless. I absolutely love it. So you can see this, it's like an envelope pocket. So this beautiful stitching on the front here. lovely finishing fabric inside. Then you've kind of got this inside section of the pocket with these beautiful, it's like a cat and a dog and some bouquets. And then if you look on the back here, this gorgeous house and flowers and birds. I mean, this is absolutely stunning. It is so pretty. These stitches are so tiny and perfect. I mean, like teeny, teeny, tiny stitches. I absolutely love this. It is such a treasure, and I am so touched and so thankful to be the recipient of Sarah's beautiful stitching and such an incredibly lovely and generous gift. So Sarah, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I love it. But as I mentioned, Sarah didn't just spoil me, she also spoiled Gary. So Gary, do you want to show what you got?
No.
Oh.
You can't make me. What did I get? It's over here. Ooh, magic. Here's two of the things I got. I'm saving the other one for last because it's cool. This one is looks like a Christmas stocking, but could potentially be used as an earring. It depends on what you want to do. But it has my name on it and a couple of deer. You'll be a close-up picture. You'll be able to see it. But the back of this is really, really cool. It's one of the few times as a guy you get to say, hey, check out the back on that. Anyway, it's really cool. I like it. Anyway, that's it's really neat. And then this is like a little bag for your scissors and stuff for your craft bag. And there's a craft bag that came with this one. This one's blue with a little yellow, and it goes perfectly with the bag. But the bag is really special for a couple of reasons. Because one, somebody gave it to me, and that's real nice. But mostly because it's Louis Armstrong. Each one of these, there's like 4 squares here, and it's Louis Armstrong. So guess what's going in here? The Louis Armstrong thing I'm working on. I think they call it cross stitch. I could be mistaken. But one of the cool things that actually was accompanied was the fabric. I guess the remaining fabric that she had when she put this together. I'm probably going to frame this because it's just really cool looking. It's like well, anyway, here it is right in front of me and everything. Anyway, I don't know. I keep doing this and I keep saying to myself, you're going to put up a picture. But at any rate, it's really cool. So I got those. Nice. Anyway, I'm going to zip it. She made these with her mitts. So that's really, really cool.
The other thing about your stocking, so first of all, Sarah made us hand-stitched blackbird stockings last year as well, and they are now beautifully displayed on our Christmas tree. I absolutely love them. She made one for Gary and one for me, but the one she made for Gary this year, one of the things I love about it is that she used the New Zealandification, if you will, of his name. So it's Gaza or Gaza. I'm not sure exactly how it's pronounced there, but rather than saying
Gaza.
Gary, they would say Gaza, which I just think is so cool. And so, I mean, it's like so beautifully stitched and then also personalized. So such a special, beautiful gift. So Sarah, thank you again.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. So I think just quickly then we'll move on to our stitching plans and let you get on to your next WIP parade or your next Flosstube video. So over the next couple of weeks,
Perhaps your next action figure review.
perhaps over the next couple of weeks, I am going to continue to work on trying to fully finish a few pieces that have been lingering. So hopefully in our next update, you'll see a few more fully finished objects. I'm also going to be working on my full coverage rose trellis in. I'm hoping that I'll get some really good time on that and get it into a good position as we go into 2025 to see if I can maybe hit that goal of finishing it next year. And then I'm also going to spend another week working on De Farben Venedig and pushing that to the finish as well. So looking forward to doing that. And of course, my weekend stitch. Gary's going to be working on his 2 projects as he does. And I am also, we may come back to you again in 2 weeks. We probably will. Yeah, we probably will. But I am getting ready. I'm gearing up again for my first work trip of 2025. So in the middle of January, I am going to be heading off to Kenya and Rwanda again.
Just for clarity, we'd be filming in 2 weeks.
Yes. So the video might not come till later.
Video would be about a week after that.
Yeah. Yeah. So might be another gap before you see us again, but hopefully not too long. But hopefully I won't have to travel as much in 2025, 2024, especially the last half of 2024 was a bit rough. I did not have, I was never home for more than 3 weeks between trips from August until December. So hopefully 2025 is a little easier as far as travel. Anyway, thank you so much. I know this was a long one for us, but we really appreciate you spending the time with us. Again, if you just discovered our channel for the first time, we hope you enjoyed what we had to share with you. We hope you stick around. We typically run around 30 minutes on videos, so as I said, this is a bit long for us. But yeah, please do consider hitting that subscribe button, leave a comment, let us know if you enjoyed the video today. And again, to those of you who have been with us for the long haul, thank you for your friendship. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for sharing your time with us. So we hope that 2024 has been kind to you. We are wishing you all the best for 2025, and we look forward to seeing you in the new year. So with that, take care and happy stitching.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.